Hi guys, I'm Jennah Lear and I am excited to be on the 5 Minute Bark podcast today. I am the owner of Loui Studio, and what I do from Cleveland, Ohio, by the way, is I work with purpose-driven entrepreneurs who are trying to build a brand, who want to really tell their story.
Hello, 5 Minute Bark listeners. We got another amazing episode for you today. A fun subject for me, branding. And we've got a branding expert here today, Jennah Lear with Loui Studio. We were practicing that before we went on live. Loui Studio. And branding is a very, very big subject that people avoid. 90% of the people out there, is probably even higher than that, ignore branding. They don't do it the right way. They go out and go on 99 cents or 99 designs and try to create a logo that lasts a lifetime. I just watched last night a video of Steve Jobs getting his next logo for his next company after Apple paid over $100,000 for a cube. So we're going to talk about branding here today, and Jennah's going to kind of help us understand how important it is and help you understand that you should pay attention, because this is everything in a business. So Jennah, say hello to everybody out there, and thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, I see you're kick-ass in the background there, so I like that. And you're very organized. I see all the color coding, everything going on. So tell us why you got so stuck on branding in your life. What made you decide that this is something you want to do and sell and be?
Yeah, I think specifically branding, it was one of those things where things tend to happen and you're like, okay, we're going to go down this road, and you don't really plan it. So much like my entrance into design, I thought I was going to go to school for photography, and I ended up falling into design. And that was kind of exciting because it ended up being my path. And then I actually started out in corporate America and realized that this is just not this isn't working for me. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing from a design perspective. And when I branched out and doing work for clients, I fell into branding again, and I loved it. It's very a high conceptual work, and I think that's where my strength is.
Definitely. You know, it's funny, when do you do logos, right? You do logos?
Yes.
Okay. So I've had several logos done in my life, and you know, when my branding people came to me and gave me, say, 6 designs, right? And at first, you know, and you probably get this from your clients all the time. You look at them, you're like, well, that's not, you know, I'm paying $2,500 for that, and it's, you know, it's basically a font, right?
Right.
But one thing, I mean, especially my Cody Dog logo right here, you know, this one right here, I spent good money on that, and it's just that. And at first you go, well, you know, that's not much. But now it's my brand, and I love it, and it's like I can't live without it. It makes me confident. It makes my company powerful. Same with the 5 Minute Bark brand logo. It's really amazing when you have it done right. And I guess I'm saying this at first because when you first see a logo and you get it from a design agency, sometimes you're like, well, it's not really that great, you know? And I was like, well, it's okay. You kind of expect this, like something, you know, Star Spangled Banner or something, you know, but logos are designed to be simple. Am I right on that?
I think there's definitely an essence or of simplicity to them. That's why they're so frustrating, because they are so simple. And like you said, people tend to look at them and think that's what you came up with. But behind the scenes, the hours of work went into that. You know what I mean?
Mega hours. Yeah. Lots of hours.
Yes.
And you know, and one thing that's really interesting too is people, when they go and get a logo on 99 designs or whatever, $2 or whatever, they don't realize it has to go on a t-shirt, it has to go on a letterhead, it has to go on a business card, it has to go on a video now, it has to go on your website, it has to fit in these certain sizes. And when you go and just get somebody that doesn't really, they just design something really sparkly, it doesn't work.
Yeah. I'd say that falls into a trend. You know, trends are big. We tend to fall into pitfalls of trends. I would say the number one thing that you don't want to incorporate a trend in is your logo or your brand in general, because at the end of the day, it's your identity. This is a bomb I'm going to drop on you and your listeners. They probably have never heard this. But actually, when my clients come to me, I tell them it's not just your logo, guys. Your logo is an important piece of your branding, but it's just one piece. And at the end of the day, your branding is so much more. And the word, because people, like you said, don't tend to understand what branding is. It's kind of like the cloud, right? We know it's there, but we don't know what it is. It's your identity. And you don't want to enter into the marketplace and step out into the world with what you're trying to build with no identity. You just wouldn't do that in life. So why would you do it in your business? And that's really, kind of the crux of it.
And brand can be built around even something you wear, essentially, or
Absolutely.
Or in the case of our president, the hairdo you have, I mean, anything can be designed as your brand over and beyond your logo. So how did you first off get into this, and how did you really find out this is something really, really passionate for you?
Yeah. Well, I actually think it starts from, kind of the beginning. If I can take it back that far, right?
Please do.
It goes back to around 17, 18. I got launched into the world, and I had to kind of raise myself. And starting from there, I always knew that I wanted to be a creative, but it just wasn't practical. When you're in that space, almost a survival mode, right? And kind of in that mindset of what am I going to do next to take care of myself, you really don't leave a lot of space to be creative. And so when I got myself to college, I said, okay, I'm going to commit to this. And I actually, like I said, that I was going to be a photographer, and I kind of fell into design, and I got myself through school, was really proud of myself for that. And then got into corporate, and then I figured that would be like my end all be all, or be all end all, right? Like you get to this place that you've been envisioning for so long. And as soon as I got to corporate, my personal journey, I felt so lost. I wasn't living in my power and what I was able to do. And when I tried, I was put down and told, that's too creative. That's not what our business is about. And so it just left me really, really unhappy. And I'd say probably around the second company I was at, I was doing good. I'm, keeping my head down, designing, kind of pumping out the graphics, as you would say, kind of in an in-house space. And I just felt so out of alignment. I could feel it. Something just was not balanced. And I didn't really know anything about energy. I didn't know anything about kind of aligning yourself to what you're doing and really living in your power. I had lived in survival mode for so long. I just had been kind of programmed to think, what can I do to take care of myself to get by into the next step? And so when I got to that point, like I said, at the second company, and I just felt so out of alignment, I said, something's got to change. This is it. I can't do this anymore. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to school for business. I know that I had been raised in a traditional family in basically the Midwest. You want money and you want a life, you go to work, and you go to work for a company, and you hope it's a good company, and that's how you live your life. But but I didn't want to live it that way. Right. So I was like, let's go back to school for business, even though I hadn't paid off the first debt of the first bachelor degree. Right. But I was like, that's not the right path either. And so again, this dropped in my lap, this entrepreneurship program. I knew nothing of entrepreneurship, not really associating what this whole thing was. Right. Which made me more curious. And so I joined this program, and I jumped full force into this program. I learned Entrepreneurship 101, marketing, advertising, the pillars of the business. But something that I didn't expect that I would learn is really self-development and taking a look at who I am and what I want in this world and what my powers are and my truth. And oh my God, that, you gotta break down those things. You got to break down those walls. You got to peel back the layers just to find out who you are. And I had never asked myself that before. And that's when I really started to learn who I am and what I'm meant to do in this world. And I fully believe everything happens for a reason. I fell into design for a reason. So, it wasn't something that I needed to completely switch my career or my path, but I knew I needed to do more with it. I wanted to do more with it, and I knew I wanted to show up more for people. And that's really where branding came about through this program. And it was again, something I didn't really know much about, but I went on this path. I had kind of went through my career working with one brand, but I knew I wanted to be more in a conceptual space from a design standpoint. And it's been a beautiful journey.
It looks like it. It's been exciting. Yes. I mean, it's such a fun industry to be in, you know, because you are, like you said, you're creating businesses, essentially the face of the business, you know, from all angles. And it's really exciting. I mean, I've never been a brand person, but I've been around it enough to love it and enjoy it. And I admire branders. And the funny thing is, even though I'm in branding, I don't really make my own logos. I've done a lot of graphic design. I've done a lot of websites and stuff like that, but I have other people do it because I need to have somebody else's box. You know, I'm in my little box outside the box to think like. So tell us one of the most exciting transformations you've done for a company that's probably like wasn't quite convinced about doing branding and you kind of took them to a new level. I'd love to hear that story.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't want to say I'm lucky. I think when I decided to take this step, I took it full force. And I think most of the clients that I've worked with, I've had that experience where they didn't really know what to expect before they worked with me. And then when they worked with me and I took them down this path, and really what the branding process is, at the end of it, they were like, I can't believe you pulled this out of my head. And that's really what the process is. It's you telling me what your brand foundation is, your story, who you want to work with, et cetera, about your business. And I bring it to life through design and graphics. And I do that for all my clients. So I don't want to brag, but I've done that for everyone. And I've had good results. I will say one of my website clients doubled her bookings as soon as the site launched. So there's some strategic results for you that I'm super proud of. She's super happy. And I think it all comes back to alignment. You know, when you really put the time and work in to make sure that you're creating something that feels aligned with you and your business, the results show for themselves.
You're so passionate. I love it.
Thank you. I try. No, it comes natural. It does. It fires me up to talk about this stuff. So
what, I mean, you're so passionate. Did it all start with your childhood? Or...
Yeah. I think, when you've gone on such a long journey like I have from...
Well, let's hear it.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, here's my segue, right? I think just raising myself from 17, 18, being on my own, having no support system, being in that survival mindset, not knowing where to go, who to talk to, what's coming next, and really just feeling it, right? You have to put yourself in a certain, and I say this, but some people have never felt that, right? You get into a situation and it's either flight or fight mode, right? But if most people have never lived in that for years. I lived in that for years. Can you imagine? And to finally get to a point where you're okay, I did everything right. I got myself out of that place. I got myself to college. I got myself through college. I got myself a job in corporate America. I'm doing good, right? But then you're just I've lived all these years feeling horrible about myself. Horrible about myself, horrible about what I'm doing, and just feeling things are never clicking, right? You have to get yourself to a place of fuck or fuck it, to be this is it. I'm in control of my journey. I decide what's going to happen next. I'm no longer going to sit back and just let it happen to me. And then when that happens, things start to change. Like I said, the entrepreneurship journey and really that program dropped in my lap. I wasn't planning on that. I wasn't researching it. I wasn't looking for it. It dropped in my lap, and I took a risk. I took a chance, and I jumped. And I've fallen many times since. Don't get me wrong. It's not all just a rags to riches like that. It's you have to be committed. But above everything else, I've been committed to changing my life for the better and living it how I want, not letting outside circumstances affect and choose for me. So I think that's where it comes from.
That's awesome. It's true. You got to jump. I have a picture of in one of my videos I did, it has like a cliff, 2 cliffs, and this guy jumping across, and you gotta jump and just, know you're going to make it on the other side, because you will make it on the other side. You just got to jump. You just got to jump.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if you fall in between the cliffs and like there's a river there and you survive, like you're going to get up and you're going to climb the mountain and you're going to jump again, because that's what you're committed to. You're committed to that for yourself. So, yeah.
Jennah, what's your next jump?
Ooh. This year, I'm going to keep it general just because this year is my next jump. The first year, I'm in my second year now. The first year was all about like self-development and learning, like I said, who I am and what I want and my truth and what I'm able to bring to the world. This year is about implementation. It's easy to dream big, right? For most people, for dreamers and visionaries, it's easy. It's easy to want this life and to see yourself doing certain things and put yourself in a better place, but it's only going to happen for the people that are going to take the initiative and implement those things. So this year's all about implementation for me and really bringing all the things that I've dreamt and worked towards to light and letting people know my genius and my power. I'm an introvert, but I'm also a creative. So with those two whammies, it's kind of like we tend to like just stay in a dark room and create, right? But you have to let that stuff out and share your vision and your beauty and your power with the world for people to know. So yeah, that's the long answer.
I thought you were going to give me a short one. No. It's funny how you're saying that. It's like, this is the year of implementing, because, recently I've been thinking, I've listened to every Tony Robbins tape, every Law of Attraction DVD and tape, and attended the seminars. And I'm kind of like, I've had enough of it. I've had enough of listening and learning. I want to implement too. That's like, I can't bear turning. Like I just drove 10 hours in the last 2 days, 5 hours to go play golf, spent the night, came back 5 hours. And usually I'll do a motivational tape of some sort, or whatever, a book. And I was like, I can't do it. I just can't fit any more of that in my head. I know it by heart. I can recite half of them word for word, verbatim. It's time to implement, because you can only take so much of it in. I mean, you know it all. So I think I kind of feel like I'm in the same place as you. It's like I'm ready to implement and ready to take things to a new level. And that's what I'm doing with my 5-minute bark. And it's really exciting. And it's really, I heard this expression the other day at a conference, like these conference junkies. They just keep going to these conferences and keep going and come, but they don't do anything. They just keep going to the conferences. And I think you're saying something more than what you think you're saying. It's like, it's time to implement,
Absolutely. And you can, like you were saying, like you can, and I've done this has happened to me. You can like sit back and take in all of this information, because there's so much great information out there. Right. But at the end of the day, like, taking in too much can put you into a contraction. If you're familiar with expansions and contractions, and I did that, and I went into a 3-month contraction. I got nothing done. And when I finally came out of it and kind of moved into an expansion, it was like, okay, I'm only going to intake what I need, not this and this and this and this and this, because it's just going to it's going to throw me off, Yep.
And it's funny that you're saying that, because literally that's what your company does, right? You implement. You implement
absolutely
the brand of a company, and that's pretty exciting. So we've talked about branding. We've talked about you. Is there something in you, something really exciting, something passionate you want to share with my audience that's all about you, all about branding? It could be personal or business. I want to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Obviously, being in this space and sharing my gifts, what I want to tell your audience, for anyone who's building a business, really consider that the brand and branding is the foundation of what you do. It is, like you said, it lays the foundation. It's everything that you step out on. It's not just putting a logo on a t-shirt or having a logo for a website. It's the expression of you, who you are, who you want to work with, and this is how you call in your ideal clients, right? So if there's anything that I could say, I would say just make sure that you're going to someone who's going to be able to bring that to fruition, and don't take it lightly. Don't invest in don't invest in a $5 logo because it's going to last you 5 days, right? Like, be prepared for doing the work and laying the foundation so that you can get the results you want for your business. Nothing happens overnight, including branding. So just take it seriously.
I agree 100%. Listeners, it's so important. I tell it all the time. It's so important to take branding seriously. And I mean, that's why companies like Coca-Cola spend $100,000 on the simplest logo in the world, but it covers your whole, it's not just the logo is just a piece of it. Like you said, it's just a piece of it, but there's this whole plan that goes with it. The whole identity, I guess, identity and brand, the same words.
Brand identity.
Yeah. And
it's a system.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Awesome. So if people want to reach out to you and be part of your world and pay you money and enjoy your journey and branding together, how can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's actually a couple different ways, right? There's so many different options these days. I know. I'd say that you could go to my website, because that's actually where all my social links are, all of the gold and the juice of what I do is. And that is www.blue, like the color, BLUE, Loui, LOUI, studio.com. And then you can also find me on Facebook at Blue Loui Studio.
Awesome. So why Blue Loui?
Oh, I love this question. So my middle name is Louise, and my cat, her name is Blue. So we're kind of like partners in crime here, and Blue Loui it is.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah. Cody Dog is my dog, Cody, and 5 Minute Bark is an offshoot of that. So.
Yeah.
Barking.
Yeah. They're the business partners that are not going to leave your side, right?
That's right. She's around somewhere. I'm sure she's ready for a walk for sure. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Jennah. This is awesome. I see great things for you and your company going forward. I know you're in your second year now and you're kicking some butt. So I'm really excited for you. Really, really excited for you. And hopefully some listeners will reach out for questions or answers or even doing business with you. Regardless, we're all here to help. I'm so excited. So thank you for coming on the show. And listeners, thank you for listening here today to the 5 Minute Bark Podcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You're watching the 5 Minute Bark Podcast on YouTube. If you like this episode, you just may like many more. Subscribe today by clicking the red subscribe button in the top right-hand corner.